Hey, welcome to Home Renovision, YouTube's favorite DIY channel for home renovations. And today we are talking bathroom fans and how you can replace one. And it is really simple, and you can get rid of this ugly sound. Man, that is just nasty. So we are in our latest bathroom renovation project, and the one thing we saved to the end is the bathroom fan. And the reason we saved it is because there is a product finally that you can install from inside the space, and you don't have to go into the attic, usually. Unfortunately, the client here told me about something new, a new problem that he was having with this fan. And it explains, when you take a look at the condition of this, it's just covered in dirt. And usually that's a telltale sign that there's a lot of moisture hanging around the fan. So what he told me is that sometimes when he's sitting on his toilet, it rains on his head. And I'm like, oh boy, I know exactly what's wrong with your bathroom. I said, you've got one of those exhaust vents out the roof. And he's like, yep, I do. I said, so listen folks, if you've got one of those vents out the roof and you got moisture coming into your bathroom, we're gonna show you how to solve that problem as well. And then we're gonna install this fan from inside like as if everything else was right. But you got two problems here. One, you got an old outdated fan that's not strong enough for the space and it's really, really noisy. And second, the ducting is done wrong. So we're gonna solve both of those problems in this video today. But before we go upstairs to deal with the ducting issue, we're gonna disconnect the power here. You know, and you know this was a do-it-yourself. Look at this. Wire isn't connected to the box. We've got painter's tape on the joints. Man, there's just nothing about this that's right. I've got no hope at all that I'm gonna find anything upstairs that looks like it's supposed to be there. So before we can go and change this fan out, we've got to get into the attic and change the ducting. So like every house is gonna have access through the attic through one of these little manholes. Whoa, not a lot of space. But listen, it's a really simple process. We've got some insulated duct line here with a moisture barrier on it. I've got a gear clamp, some tuck tape, my drill, a couple of hand tools in case it's a mess up there. All right, Max is gonna follow me right into the hole here and we'll see what we gotta see. She's a warm one up here, Max. This is usually not where we see in an attic here in this region. This insulation is really below standard. Looks like an R12 insulation. It's only a 2x4 framing. It's unbelievable. These folks definitely got to get something up here. Now we got the air vent right where I want to put my leg. Here we go. So the fan should be under here. Yes, wow. Here we go. We'll just peel off a little bit of skinny little pink stuff and lay it on top of the fan so the inspector can't see that we gave the fan an insulation rating of about OR 0.5. My God. Let's take a look at this. We got a wrapped up piece of insulation held on with baler wire. My God. Yeah. And that's what happens. Condensation. Oh, look at that. It's not even connected. It's just placed in the same region as the fan. Oh, for Pete's sake. Well, that explains, well, that explains everything around here. Wow. Now, I haven't seen something so pathetically brutal in a long time. And we'll just, because it's not attached. Okay. Wow. Hi, ay, 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 ay. All right, now we're gonna get rid of this ducting because that's just not gonna do us any favors. I've got to get some rigid pipe into this hole and attach to the roof sheathing somehow. Yeah. Wow. That's going to be interesting. I think maybe my best bet, I'll try to salvage this elbow. Yeah. That's going to be all, oh, look at that. It still moves. There we go. Come on, baby. Hey, hey, hey. There we go. We're gonna make ourselves our own flange here. We're gonna just cut down around this pipe. Peel back by the tabs. Screw them in. I don't have much of a choice here. Yeah. Comme ça. Which is French for like this. Now the duct outside has kind of got a bit of a gooseneck to it. Kind of looks like a Hummer air vent. And you can see them from the road. But they're about 10 inches by 10 inches. So when I screw through this plywood, I'm not actually screwing through the roof membrane of the waterproofing system. I'm screwing through the plywood that's inside the diameter of that vent. And so this is going to work out just fine. Okay. Getting too old for this. All right, here we go. Now, originally I figured I was coming up here because they had a direct vent straight up, right? And the reason that that causes problems is that if rain is being driven by the wind and it gets into this pipe and it's direct vent, then there's nothing to keep it from just continuing down and running right out of the ceiling fan. So what you want to have is a duct line that does this. Okay? You want a bit of a curve. You want a bump. If the water comes down in the rain, it'll settle in this, kind of like a P-trap. And you're not going to get a lot of water. We're talking about a few drips every once in a while. And then when you use the fan on a daily basis, that'll dry that out. And so your system works fine. So that's what I figured I was doing here. I didn't realize I was going to be dealing with the mother of all evil bathroom fan installations. Dear Lord. All right, what you want to do is get your gear clamp, a couple of rings of the metal rings down, and then slide this over the 4-inch. Okay, here we are. Switch out my bit. And just watch your head when you're working in here. All the roofing nails are sticking through the plywood above you. You bump your head here, that'll make you bleed. And we're gonna just tighten that gear clamp on so it's not moving. And then, for good measure, we're gonna lift up the insulation nice and tight to the roofing here. And we're gonna try to get this on firmer as we can. And that's about all we have to do up here. The rest we can do from the bathroom. We can bring the ducting down. We can fix this the right length. We can run the wire down, and we can work the rest of this from downstairs. Now, had this been installed properly, there would have already been a flexible line. You would be able to avoid this step altogether and just do it from the bathroom. So now we're going to pick up with this video from where we left off with the idea of just installing a new fan. So before we put the fan in, let's talk about the product, all right? Now, this is not a sponsored video. They don't know I'm doing this, but I love this fan because I've used it before and I know about the flexibility. When you're going in the store, this is sold at Home Depot, just so you know. At the store, they have more than one version of this, so make sure you get the right one for your room. There has a rating here for the CFM, that's cubic feet per minute. 110 is usually the perfect size for a 3-piece bath. Now, if you have a large space, you might need to go to 140, but generally 110 is fine. And it has 1 zone, and that's the sound rating. Now, there are fans that are a little quieter than 1, but it's kind of that whole scale of how much do you want to spend to get just a little bit quieter? Because this is going to be really pretty quiet. And honestly, for 140 bucks for this thing, this is a great value. Because if you want to go to 0.8 zones, you're pushing your price point up to over $250, $300, $400. So this is probably the best quality fan you're going to get for sound and CFM. And it has this little picture here, no access required into the attic. that only holds true if your fan is currently operating decently and it's just tired, ugly, and old. So if you're replacing a fan, definitely the Invent series. Just make sure you grab the right one on the way out so you don't pay for the 140 CFM if you don't need to. So here's our fan, really quick and simple. This housing comes out. I'm going to demonstrate how this goes together here before I get up on the ladder. It's very tricky to see me do it when I'm up there. But this is the exhaust port that goes on the fan. Now if you can imagine, we have our fan installed, okay? And we pull the ducting through from the other side, connect the ducting to the end of this, and then what happens is this gets, after this is in the ceiling, you push this up through, all right? And the idea here, and you can see this one, there's these two little tabs. You push it through an angle and you straighten it out, all right? And then from the inside, you can actually screw that in place. And then once that is done, then you can slide your fan housing in, all right? And that's how it all connects. And all of this work can be done from down here, which is why this is awesome. So the only thing that's in your way before you get started are these tabs. So this fan is also designed for traditional installation before drywall. So what you do, just take your pliers, and the installations in this box are actually quite good, okay? You can follow them to a T, and any metal, just give it a little bit of working, and you're heating it up and it snaps off, okay? And what this does is it creates a housing that is smaller than the flange. You cut the hole to this dimension, and then you install it up, and then hopefully you'll have wood in the ceiling that you can screw to. So the only thing you really got to do when you're replacing a fan in this situation is have wood in the ceiling to screw this to. If you don't have any, you're going to have to install it at some point. All right, there we go. The other thing that you have inside here is the electrical compartment, and there's a tab here, all right? Now, it has a little catch, all right? So you just push that in and lift it out, and that's got your power, and you set that aside for later. And then you'll see this little thing here. Now, there's a hole here for the electrics, but if you're sliding it straight up, you don't want your wire coming from the side. Right? You want your wire coming from the top. So you push that tab to close the other hole. So if you want to come from the side of the fan, you push the tab inside and you bring the wiring this way. If you want the electric to come from the top of the fan, you push the tab to cover the other way. Nice and simple. One thing you're going to need to do is go to the store and buy yourself a package of 5 of these, because they don't sell them individually in most cases. These little Moretz cable connectors, they're called. You use these a lot. Pot lights and that sort of thing. So if you're getting handy at home, having these around are great. You also need the same thing if you're going to change your hood fan, and they just pinch and stick in the hole. There we go, and that holds the unit. The idea here is you put your cable in here and it holds the wire from coming loose, okay? That way when you make your connections in your box, you know nothing's going to come loose over time and you're not going to get a short. Now, we got our housing prepped. We know that we want the exhaust running that way. All right, so we come up here. All right, so like a lot of fans, especially when you see that kind of a lousy duct connection, the ceiling has got some damage, right? So we're gonna adjust because our fan is actually about the same width this way. So what we're gonna do is we're going to just take that information. Yeah, we're gonna just cut back a little bit more ceiling so that the fan will actually sit up in that hole. And we're going to cut it back. Now here's the best part. They make this fan a little bit bigger than your traditional fan that you've already got in your house. So most houses have got a 50, 60, 80 CFM. The 110 is just a little bit bigger, which means you can make the hole a little bit bigger and you're not going to be left patching your ceiling. So very typical, the electrical is not long enough for the installation because the power goes into a different corner in the box. So I'm fine here or here, but if I was to have my installation, my duct blowing that way, my power actually comes to the back corner. So bear with me, because this housing, I can only blow in that direction or that direction. So that puts the power in this back corner if I go this way. So I want to have enough ducting now to go this way and then softly curl around and go back up. Now, that means I want to have enough to go from here to there. Okay? This looks like a lot of ducting, but the reality is, so when you buy a whole box of this stuff, you got enough to run a good couple of fans. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up into place and encourage it to go the right direction. Nice and easy. There we go. Nice big loop. I don't want any real sharp corners here. Okay, now I'm ready to install this. Whew. So now I've got everything in place. I want to just push my ducting up and out of the way, knowing where to grab it. Get my wiring, make sure the switch is off, and push it through that little grommet. There we go. And now the fan will go straight up into this hole. All right, now, great spot to screw that right there. The box actually comes with holes that you can use as, or when in doubt, put it anywhere you like. And then remember the housing is around. So any inside corner within a couple inches, there's lots of room for a screw. There we go. Now this side of the fan, there isn't any wood within a couple inches. So I'm just going to grab some 3-inch screws to get some extra support. Now when you're doing the screw on the other side, doing it on an upward angle, you want to have a nice little bit of lift going on. Here we go. Okay. Woohoo! And I'm sorry if the sweating is distracting, but when you're upstairs in any house in the summertime, air conditioning or not, it's comfortable here, it's warm here. This is hot. There's just no two ways around that. So I need a little tuck tape, because when I drove my screw, I opened up the box a little bit. And I want to have as much of an air seal in here as I can, so I'm directing all the air out of this box. There we go. All right, kids, here we go. Now we bring our exhaust line. Ta-da! Okay. Now, it only goes in one way. Perfect. Now, in this situation, we don't need a gear clamp like we did upstairs, because we're dealing with plastic. All right? We're going to rely just on the tuck tape to make this connection. It's nice to have lots of extra line here, because it's so easy to work. You can pull it through into where it's comfortable. There we go. Just fold that over. Okay, now all we do is push that through the other side. Now you'll notice we have those 2 tabs that are through, like we demonstrated earlier, and now we've got to put in our set screw. Okay. The duct line is actually attached. Okay, so just to recap, we have made our hole bigger, attached our duct, got a nice loop, no more moisture running down our head problem. The wiring is finished. Luckily for us, Deo is the homeowner, and he's here working on projects. Now, a fan is officially a fixture, so a homeowner's allowed to change a fixture. Not a problem. All you do is connect the black and the white. Now, for anybody at home who's not familiar with wiring, I'm going to give you a quick tutorial. I think he left the stuff here. If you're changing a fixture, and in your area, most likely you're allowed to, a lot of these safety codes along North America are relatively the same. All you need is a pair of these. This is just a simple little wire cutter. And you'll notice all the different holes. That's for different wire sizes, okay? So traditionally wire in homes is 14 gauge. And so on the side it'll have the different numbers. You just put it in the 14 spot, press it, quarter turn, and the cap pops off. Okay? That's simple. You got it 3/4 of an inch long. That's it. You just put the two wires together, take a pair of square end pliers, and you give it a couple of twists. All right? Pinch the end together, and if you don't like the way it's sitting, you can just take the side, give it a snip. You get a nice little finished end like that. And you can use these little blue morettes. What are they called? Can twist. There's different makers and models out there. But the idea is the package should say what size wire the moret works for and how many wires you can use. Usually it's a maximum of 4, but 2 wires, and you just twist it and twist it and twist it and twist it and twist it. And then when you look at it, you shouldn't see any copper showing. Okay? You don't need tape. It's not necessary, it's a waste of time. If you have to use tape on your joint, your wire's too long, take the cap off, snip it back. You black to black, white to white, ground to ground, anybody can wire their own fixture. All right? There you go. Now, all we have left to do now is stick in our housing. I'm facing the wrong way. Here we go. And we slide this up. And it will click into place. And then you have to take these last 2 screws and you just mount this here. So over time, with all the vibrations of operation, it doesn't pop out on you. All right. 1 on each side. And there we go. Whew. Now, you take your plug off and you insert it into the little box, the receptacle there for it. And then when you just put the fan cover on. Now, unfortunately, when we were doing this, we had a little bit of issue to overcome because the framing was too tight together. There's some extra wood in the roof. We had to cut that out and we caused a little bit of damage. No big deal. Worst comes to worst, you take your hardener mud, a couple of coats, touch up paint, and you're good to go. Okay, so the last part is this. Now the last part is actually the trickiest. This is the hardest part of the whole fan. They get these little spring clip things. And you want to have them sitting in your fan and rolling this over here, like M's, big letter M. Make sure your clip is sitting properly before you try to compress it. Okay? And what you want to do is pinch these together like this. And then one side goes in that. I'm going to try to do this so the camera can pick it up. Here we go. Okay. You see how that works? And then when you push up, are you focused here, Max? When you push up, it goes like that and pulls it nice and tight. Okay, so we'll do both. So it's attached and just hanging nice and loose. There we go. But when you're done, just give it a shove. It'll snap it right into the ceiling and it'll be perfect. Now I gotta go do another coat of mud. But listen, that's all there is to installing a fan. One thing we have to do, we have to turn it on and try it though, right? That's the big, oh. Now there you go, that's one zone. Sounds like a fan in the distance, but it's not that loud, all right? It's not distracting, it's not squeaking, it's not screeching, but it is pulling 110 cubic feet per minute out of this room. Give you an idea, this room is 8 by 8 by 8, right? So about 4 minutes. So if you run your fan for 4 or 5 minutes after you're done your shower, your bathroom will stay nice and dry, you won't ever get any mold. That's perfect. That's a do-it-yourselfer project that should be able to save your bathroom. Now listen, if you like this kind of content, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and ask your questions. By all means, I answer questions for people every single day. Put them in the comments section below. Don't send me an email, I won't read it. I love you guys, but I'm gonna answer questions in the comments section only, okay? Click the video to see how this project turned out.